Hello, beautiful people. How are you doing wherever you are? Hope you're having a wonderful time. This is Welcome to Prime Media Studio. This is Prosper Micah. Yeah, we're always bringing it to you, bring give you updates on a regular basis from this platform. And for those of us who have subscribed already, be rest assured of current breaking news. As long as in the dailies, you'll get to see it here and hear about it here also. And yeah, as usual, I'm just going to be solo today again. I hope you're able to get the tidbits from the news around the country in this platform. So it's Prosper Micah, and this is Prime Media Studio. Okay, we're going to quick start right away with some of this top story making the headlines. We're going to be starting with the Vanguard newspaper. Yeah, of course, the election in the country in Nigeria has been. We're not sure where we're going, but we hope at the end of all this process there will be light at the end of the tunnel. Of course, there's one particular headline right now this morning on the Vanguard which says the partisan wrecks hot 2023 polls badly. INEC source admin. This is some of the INEC officers actually, admitting that indeed some of these the polls, there was a lot of issues with the polls because we saw what happened in Adamawa State. That's still not settled properly because I think the person that they want to start that admitted, or should I use admit, or rather that declared Benani winner is still not. They're still looking for him though. So these are part of the example in that regard. So INEC National Chairman Professor Mahmoud Yakubu and the commissioner have come under hammer for the way the election panned, in spite of repeated assurances of credible polls with the introduction of bimodal voters accreditation system. You know, where all this actually there was a lot of promises that with this system, the beavers, the e-transmission of results to INEC results during server, that is the IRF portal, real time. These were the promises that with all these, at the moment the election is being counted in every polling unit, the result will be seen by all, and even the individual can even calculate and assume the winner, you know. But all this was not really how it pans out. We saw what happened that it wasn't like that, especially the presidential election. So the real time that was promised, we didn't really get to see it. So to date, people are still not too comfortable. The matter is still being contested in the court. So we see how that pans out. But indeed, there's a lot of calls from every angle, blame here and there, that the INEC did not do well on this regard. I know as independent and natural commission, they are meant to be independent, so we're supposed to at least not partisan. But we saw what happened in some of the states that, especially that of the case of Adamawa, was a broad daylight display of, what I can't really utter here. So that is how it is. Of course, every eye can see what's going on in Nigeria right now. So there's admission that indeed some of these officials, they don't do well at all. So let's move on to the next story on the Daily Vanguard today. We saw Sean indiscriminate waste disposal, that is lawman. So Bex residents. So the what they are saying is that in this time of celebration here and there, that people should be careful the way they dispose waste in Lagos. And indeed, if you drive through Lagos State, Lagos is a very busy place, very busy, and you can see a lot of waste being dropped maybe in the middle of the roads or by at a junction to a community, and it's really really disgusting. And people can just throw away plastic bottles, sachet water, and all manners of waste. And here, Loma is saying that please, mind the way you dispose these things. If you have a car, put them in your car. Whatever you don't eating, whatever you are eating, put them in your car. Then when you're done, you get to your destination, you dispose them accordingly. Especially now there is a lot of celebration here and there, and so the lawman is really charging everyone. So the managing director, lawman Ibrahim uh, Oduboni, in a statement through Director of Public Affairs, Kabiru, sorry, not Kabiru, Kadiri Falashade, noted that waste management was an essential service that must be provided for the well-being of the people and the environment. So they're really urging everybody to be careful the way they dispose waste at this time. So that, of course, we're approaching rainy season, and when there's too much waste all over the place, you know what happened. It will result, all the drainages will be blocked, and when it's blocked, of course, the water, when it can't find a way to go out to the lagoon, it comes back, and when it comes back, you know what happened. There'll be destruction of property, because water will always find its way. When water has gathered and there's no way to go, keep going up, coming up, coming up, to get to this place. If your house is below the water level, of course you enter your house. So it's a strong warning. I think I really expect everybody to quickly adhere to this and manage waste properly in our individual environment. Then we will move further, still on the Vanguard newspaper, and still on the case of Adamawa, Femi Falana. He's speaking here. He said, why Benani, REC, indicted security officers, others must be punished. Yeah, he said, technically, all these guys that have been indicted in that Adamawa case, they ought to be punished. They ought to be dealt with according to the law, because you cannot do that and expect to go scot-free. This is a lot. This endanger a lot of lives. You can't just do that and expect to go scot-free. So Falana is speaking on the issues. I think I was on China's television, and he said the Adamawa REC, APC candidates, and the security personnel involved in the saga must be prosecuted and punished. So, it is not, according to him, it's not a matter of probe. The law is very clear on these matters. One, under Section 120, subsection 4 of the Electoral Act 2022, anybody involved in any false declaration of elections is liable to be prosecuted, and the penalty is 3 years imprisonment, which for me isn't stringent enough. That's Falano speaking here. That's not stringent enough because, two, there is also Section 121 of the Electoral Act, which prescribes 12 months imprisonment for financial inducement with regard to election. So there are many allegations to the sum of 2 billion naira to this Adamawa supplementary election. So according to him, all these people indicted in these categories, they ought to be punished. So according to the law, I see Mr. Falana speaking there. Okay, we move on to the next. Of course, this is happening because a lot of people don't really get punished when this happens. They get away with it, and so we see more people perpetrating the evil. If peradventure what happened in the presidential election, the governorship, some people have been punished for this. I'm sure these people that would happen in Adamawa would have been avoided. But we see it's still it's growing, and we hope that this time around nobody goes scot-free. Then, of course, there's this sad story still on Vanguard. One of the suspects said, he regrets lynching the Uber driver. So there's a story in Akure where an Uber driver was lynched. He was, the story is read that the driver had first rammed into a commercial motorcyclist and his passengers at the Ijo Mimo bus stop. Then he didn't stop. Then the B2 escaped because he has hit somebody. He crashed into 3 others on motorcycle and tricycle. So according to that story, he injured, I think somebody died there. So when he was caught and the mob bounced on him and they beat him and stoned him and all manners of things, substance were thrown on him and eventually, and it was burnt. The car was burnt. And according to the story, those suspect that was caught lynching this young man, some of them claim that they saw fetish things in the guy's vehicle. So they saw the mob got infuriated when they discover some fetish substance and item inside the car, raising suspicion that the driver could be a Yahoo boy. So following the discovery, and they lynched on him, and he was badly beaten, and he was eventually killed. But now I think 7 suspects has been named. 4 have been fired by the police in Akure. So, and one of them has actually confessed that he was part of the lynching. Others are denying that they did not throw any, they didn't touch the young man. But the law will take its course because you don't have right to kill anybody. You don't have to snuff life out of anybody. If you so feel bad about the situation and you felt the person is guilty, you hand him over to the police rather than lynching him. And you can see the bereaved mother uh, crying bitterly. According to the story, she was actually there. Imagine a mother seeing his son on the ground and at the point of death, and she can't do anything about it. It's a pathetic story. It's a very sad one. But notwithstanding, I think the police on that case right now. So hopefully, we hope to see a better outcome as regard that event. All those that lynched that young man, we hope the police do something about it and be able to at least they should face the court. They should face the law. You don't do that. You don't do that. So moving on, we saw story on the Nation where Buhari apologizes to those offended by his actions for these 7 years. So he's apologizing. If you think I offended you in my actions, decisions, appointment, and all that, I apologize. So it's not left for you to accept the apology or not. So our president is apologizing to everyone, including you and me, that anyway he has we felt that he didn't do well. He said, I'm sorry. Yeah, so it's not left for you to say, okay, I accept the apology, or you don't accept. Whether you accept or not, he has apologized, and that's it. So I think this is very good. I'm quoting him. This is very good coincidence for me to say goodbye to you and to thank you for tolerating me for more than 7.5 years now. I assure you, I have deliberately arranged to be far, far away from you as possible, not because I don't appreciate the love you have shown to me, but because I think I have gotten what I have asked and I would rather quietly retire to my hometown. So the president is saying this during the end of the Ramadan celebration, say that, okay, I've apologized to you. I will not bother anyone anymore. Once I leave, I hand over, I'll go to my hometown and go and rest. Yeah, of course, to sack people, it's a big task. It's a big job, you know. It's not everybody will be happy with whatever decision you're going to take. But if out of 100, 60 or 70% people are happy about your service, I think you've done well. But right now, we don't know how many numbers of people are really happy with the administration. And when you look at the security aspect, the lives that have been lost all this while during this administration, or the lives have been lost, and the food stuff that has skyrocketed, it's up to every individual to actually evaluate and see, know if you're going to accept this apology or not. So that's anyway. For a leader to apologize, it says a lot about individual. You know, it's not everyone that can actually boldly come out and say, "Okay, I'm sorry for this and all that." But he has said it, so whether I take it or not, our president has apologized for in any area you think has offended you. Okay, so moving on, let's move to the next story. The next story says that is still in the Nation, So induction of NANS members elect hold May 7th and till 20th. So the members that have been elected during the National Assembly position, so their induction will take place in these following dates. So statement by the Secretary, Research and Information and Chairman of the Subcommittee on Media and Publicity said the induction of new members will be conducted between May 7th and 20th in the year 2023. So the statement said the induction of members will be carried out in two phases with batch A holding between May 7th and 13th, while batch B will hold between May 14th and 20th. So the members will be inducted, and after this, they get to work. Yeah, there's no time to waste. Yeah, you have given position, you have been elected, so you go over there and carry out the position you have been elected, and carry out the roles you have been elected to carry it out. Then there's just another story, still on the Nation newspaper. Court orders shared to stop termination of indigenous contractors. So record that indigenous contractors handling the GSA logistics services are locked in battle with the SPDC over the supply of petrol speedboats and other logistics materials for the use by security personnel to protect oil facility in and around host community. So they've been fighting to retain that contract, and the aggrieved contractors had complained that despite the effective handling of contracts over the years, the SPDC allegedly intended to take the contracts away from them in connivance with other firms to the award. So they have been on handling this contract, and they felt that there is plans to take it away from them. So as a result, they have to go to court to seek court intervention so that the contract can remain with them. And our court has ordered that the contract must not be terminated; it has to be retained, because, of course, I think it's really best that those that understand the terrain should be handled such logistics services, because you will know what these guys in this area are capable of doing when they feel aggrieved. And these are some of things that is, I think they can benefit from that region because the oil has been extracted from that area. And I think it's best that some of them should be given this contract to be able to manage this facility better than the external individual. So court has actually decided that. So and you cannot disobey court order. If you feel that that court is a lower court, you can go to the higher court to appeal it. But for now, that's how it stands. So they have been able to retain. The court has given order, so they have and will retain that contract for the time being. So that is you can see that on the Nation newspaper. You can just log on to nation.com. You see it there. Then of course there is this on that story on the Sun newspaper where Tinubu not on sickbed, says Kalu. So Kalu is saying that Tinubu is not on sickbed. People are assuming that they are thinking, believe that Tinubu is sick because he has not been seen for some time. So the chief whip of the Senate, Senator Orji Uzo Kalu, has said that the president-elect Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu is not on sickbed. So he tasked the church to work with the government for the entrenchment of peace and development in the country. So speaking during the celebration of Mass to mark his 63rd birthday in Abuja, presided over by the Metropolitan Catholic Archbishop of Abuja, Ignatius Kagema, Carlos said, "Our president-elect is not sick. It is not true that he is sick. I don't want to say much. He is in good health. He is himself." So that's from Uzo Kalu. And we know that Uzo Kalu is aiming for a Joseph position in the National Assembly. So so he said that. So we have to believe him, or whether you believe him or not, that's what he has said. So I believe he has personal information from where the president-elect is where location. So that's what it says. So we'll move on to the next story. So if you want to get a gist of that story, please go to the Sun. You'll get a gist from that story. Of course, early Fitri leaders of Muslim communities seek continuous prayer for peace in Benue State. So, as Muslim faithfuls and end their Ramadan fasting, leader of the Muslim community in Benue State, Alhaji Gaba Baba, has urged Muslims in the state not to relent in prayers, particularly for the peace and development of the state and Nigeria as a whole. Baba, who is also the chairman of the Jamatu Nasrul Islam, made this call while speaking to newsmen at the prayer ground in Makurdi to mark the 2023 Eid Fitri celebration. Actually, we thank God we have finished the 29 days of Ramadan. My message to the Muslim community in Benue State is to use this opportunity, even as we finish the Ramadan fasting, to continue to pray for the nation, our state, Benue, and pray for our entire leaders. Of course, so this is what they are urging the Muslim faithful in that region to maintain peace. So, of course, we know very well that the Benue State has been a hotbed for attack from armed militias from every angle, and that has really rendered our state a full basket of nation, rendered our state become like a shanty, because the governor has always been crying as regard the killing and brutal killing murder of people. And he was also, we remember very well, there was some story some time ago where the governor was targeted. It was the vehicle was targeted and all that. He escaped that attack. So that state has been shaken, has been like an oil on top of the water. So they are calling for peace. Of course, we also know that a place like Kaduna too is one of the states in the country that has been having a rough time trying to stabilize the state from these armed militias, bandits and whatever it's called. As long as they're with armed, these are terrorists. Yes. So anyone that making want people not to have peace in the environment, they are terrorizing them. So that has been happening in these states, and we hope that this call today will bring peace also in that environment. So moving on, we look at this other story in the so talking about fighting in Sudan enter second week as truce breaks. So there was a break because of the Ramadan and all that, but we knew that from this story that the fight resumes immediately. It was not Saturday. There was serious explosion. So the fighting is still ongoing in South Kaduna. Sorry, in Sudan as we speak. So fighting in Sudan's capital enter a second week Saturday as crackling gunfire shattered a temporary truce. The latest battles between forces of rival generals that have already left hundreds dead and thousands wounded. Overnight, the heavy explosion that had previously rocked the city in recent days has subsided. But on Saturday morning, burst of gunfire resumed. So violence broke out on the April 15th between forces loyal to Army Chief Abdul Fattah al-Bahar and his deputy turned rival Mohammed Hamdan Daglo, who commands the powerful paramilitary rapid support force. The former ally seized power in 2021, but later fell out in the bitter power struggle. So this is a power struggle that is actually ravaging this country at this time. So the gunfire the battle has resumed again, and we don't know when this will come to a halt. But then also there's this other story in the Punch newspaper where federal government says why it's difficult to evacuate trapped Nigerians. And we read during the week that the students, the Nigerians in Sudan, have been calling for the federal government to airlift them out of that country because of the battle ongoing. But now we see federal government giving reasons why they cannot evacuate them at the moment. So the numbers of Nigerian students who have indicated willingness to return to the country from war-torn Sudan has risen to 1,700. But the federal government may have dashed their hopes of early evacuation as fighting rages in the troubled nation. The government explained that the tense situation in Sudan was making it difficult for stranded Nigerian citizens to be evacuated from the country. So the chairman, chief executive officer, Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, Abike Dabiri Erowa, said though the Nigerian mission in Sudan and the National Emergency Management Agency had put in place arrangement to evacuate the citizens, it was impossible for any flight during this period of war. This was contained in a statement signed by Gabriel. So they, according to the story, they are making way to make sure these students are evacuated. At the same time, they are taking caution so that it's the middle of war, care has to be taken. But and we read not quite long that there is a food shortage as regards this war, and when there is a food shortage, of course, that is very very hard to survive such environment. So this is so these are the top stories from dailies, from Vanguard, Punch, Daily Sun, and so on, and the Nation newspaper. These are the tidbits I bring to you for being on this particular episode, and we hope to catch you next time. Please subscribe to the station so that whenever we are up, we'll bring you just the story so you get to follow us. So do have a wonderful time, as I call it today here. Enjoy your Ramadan, enjoy your work, enjoy your environment. So do have a nice day ahead.